So, hello everyone. My name is Padmadarshini and I'm in Manchester, and I'm recording this practice as part of the resources for Dharma Buddhist Retreat Centre. So you're very welcome if there's a group of us here live doing the practice, and also you're very welcome if you're listening or watching this practice sometime later. So you just want to set your device up so you can see and hear me. And we're going to be working on the floor for some of the practice. We're going to come up to standing, work up in the vertical plane for a little while, and then we're going to have a good long rest at the end. So do what works for you. If something I'm suggesting is not okay for your body, then just leave that out, have a rest, or if you know something else that would be more useful and effective, then follow your own track in that way. Okay, so I'm just going to lie down. Okay, so we're going to start off lying down. So I'm on my back, so let yourself be on your back. Your legs can be bent as mine are, knees up, or if you're more comfortable with your legs extended, extend your legs. You may feel that you need to have a little bit of support under your head so that the weight is resting on the centre of the back of your head. And then just arriving. Feel the contact the back of your body is making with the floor under you. You might like to close your eyes. And I'm going to start by taking some slightly fuller, deeper breaths. So the next time I breathe out, I'm going to breathe out through my mouth, a long, smooth exhale. And then a long, smooth inhale. So let your breath become a little bit fuller and deeper. A long, smooth exhale. Like a bellows, you're squeezing out the air a little bit more fully than you normally do on a normal breath. And then as you breathe in, let it be a longer, smoother, fuller inhale. Feel your chest, your ribs, your lungs expanding and condensing from all directions. At the end of the next exhalation, imagine you're squeezing out the stale air from the base of your lungs. A long, smooth inhalation, followed by a long, smooth exhalation. Let's bring our knees into our chest and just keep going with that long, smooth inhalation. Long, smooth exhalation. Breathing out through your mouth. You'll probably feel as you breathe in, your legs lift a little bit away from your belly and chest. As your pelvis rocks. And as you breathe out, you'll feel that your thighs, your knees fall a little bit in towards your belly and chest. And the weight comes more to the centre of your back of your waist. Okay, from there, let's put our feet back down. And I'm going to bring my awareness into the sensation in the back of my head on the mat, on the blanket. Feel the weight going through the back of your head. Letting the breath flow in and out normally. I'm not let go, deepening my breath. I just let it be however it is. And then I'm going to start to draw a tiny spiral with the tip of my nose. So if you bring your awareness, you could imagine you've got a paintbrush on the tip of your nose. And start to draw a tiny spiral. And as you do this, you feel the weight moving on the back of your head, the shape of your neck. Let the spirals start to get bigger. Your lips are pressed together. Let your lips part. Let your mouth be a little bit open. And feel the sensations in your neck, your jaw, your skull. Once you've made the spiral as big as it wants to be, and it can be really nice to go all the way down to the base of the skull, all the way up to the top of the skull, to the left and to the right. And change direction and spiral back in. Just notice the sensations. We can carry quite a lot of tension, tightness, muscles of our face, our neck. See if you can arrive back with your weight resting on the very centre of the back of your skull. Find that sweet spot right in the centre. And then pause. And then I'm going to start to let my head roll as if I was trying to listen to the whispers of the ground. Rolling my head from one side to the other. And I really like pressing. As I roll, I'm giving a little pressure through the back of my head or the side of my head. So find a pace, so fairly slowly for this. But find a pace that feels right for you. Like you're listening, turning your ear to the earth. And then let that movement get smaller, so it's not going quite so far until you're going to bring it back to the center of the back of your head. And then once you've arrived back there, pause. Feel the weight on the back of your skull. Notice your breath. So we're going to move our awareness down to our shoulder blades. I'm going to bring my arms up. I've lost my hands there, but they're straight up in the air. And I'm going to imagine my shoulder blades are feet. And I'm literally going to pick up one shoulder blade or one shoulder blade foot and then the other. So it's like you're walking up and down on the spot. On your shoulders, shoulder blades. Picking one up, dropping it down as you pick the other one up. And you can add in a bit of reach. Imagine the fingers are reaching up to touch the sky. Feel the shifting of weights. I'm going to add in a bit of reaching to the side, as if I was reaching to pluck a plum or something. And just letting that go. I give a shake out my wrists, my elbows, my shoulders, and then arms. Just let your arms rest. Let's move down into our pelvis and do the same thing. I'm just going to let the back of the pelvis be a bit like a foot, and you're standing on one spot, picking up one side of the pelvis and then the other. So your weight is rocking from side to side. If it feels good and you're enjoying it, keep going and add a little, whichever side lifts, make a little reach of the knee into the space beyond it. As I pick up my right hip, reaching my right knee into the space beyond it. Oh. Okay, and then just slowly settling back. So let's bring keeping our awareness in our pelvis, we're going to imagine that we've got a clock on the front of our pelvis, 12 at the pubic bone, 6 at the navel, and then a 3 at the right side of the pelvis, right hip, and a 9 at the left hip. So it's a clock face, and we're going to let our weight roll around this. So I'm going to roll my weight to the 12, I feel more weight on the tailbone, then to the right, at the 3, then to the 6 at the navel, and to the 9 at the left hip. And then just keeping that rotation. So the will, I'm really seeing if I can isolate to some extent my pelvis and my abdomen and my lower back and not have too much movement in my legs. There will be some movement, but really my interest is in focusing my pelvis, my belly. It's the central hub of our body. And of course, as you do this, you feel your lower back moving, changing shape. You feel your belly moving, changing shape. Just letting your breath flow in and flow out naturally. Next time you get to the 12, see if you can change direction. See if you can add in the other digits. So the 1 and the 2 and the 11 and 10 and so on. That might mean you have to slow down a little bit. Can you differentiate each digit? Next time you get to the 12, pause there. Let's bring our knees into our chest and just however you want to rock there. Going to do a little bit of rolling. So I'm going to let go, holding my legs or my hands together. I'm staying small, like a ball, or like a little animal, curled in a ball. My head and my pelvis together, I'm going to roll to one side. And then I'm going to roll back onto my back. So picking up the top arm and leg, head and pelvis, head and tail, together, rolling to the other side. And then again. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 I'm not picking up my head at all. I'm rolling all the time. My head stays on the blanket or on the ground. And then next time I come onto my back, I'm going to bring my feet back down. So I'm back into my semi-supine position, sensing feet hip width apart as best you can. And then we're coming back to our navel. And as we breathe in, rolling weight to the tail. And then as we breathe out, so it's 12 o'clock, as we breathe out, rolling towards the navel, the 6 o'clock. So we're working with the 12 and the 6 now, not the 9 and the 3. So I breathe in, my tail comes down, weights to the earth, and you'll feel an arching of your back. And I breathe out and I sink my belly button, and we can feel the back of our waist pressing into the ground. Follow the rhythm of your own breath. Inhaling as you arch, exhaling as you flatten. Your pelvis is moving, your belly, your spine. I have a sense of, I'm going to move this head blanket out because I feel like I don't need it now. You may or may not want to keep your blanket there. I'm going to have a sense of how this movement ripples through the whole spine, from tail all the way to your head. Reminding the spine of, as you arch, the front spine lengthens, and as you flatten, the back of the spine lengthens. So if you could bring it all the way into your chest, so that as you breathe in and arch, you can press the top of your shoulders into the mat and roll your palms to face up. And as you breathe out and flatten, you can let the front of the shoulders lift up and the palms turn down into the earth. So that as we breathe in, the top of the chest at the front opens. And as we breathe out, the top of the chest at the back opens. And you can see there's quite a lot of movement in my neck and my head. Our spine, our skull and spine meet about in line with the top of our ears. Spine goes all the way into our heads. Just a few more times. And then let's just let that go. Pause for a moment. And as you pause but continue to breathe naturally, you might even feel there's an echo of that movement, that arching and flattening is still happening in a very, very subtle way. The breath naturally moving the structure of your pelvis and your spine. As you breathe in, there's a little bit more weight on your tail. As you breathe out, it's a little bit lighter on your tail, a little bit more weight behind your belly button, the back of your waist. Just notice if you can feel that. Okay, so let's bring our knees in again. And we're going to go back to our rolling. So I'm rolling head and tail together. Letting my weight pour. So I'm round and soft, like a little animal in a ball, rolling. And then in a moment, I'm going to add in extending out my top arm and top legs. So next time I roll onto one side, I'm going to extend out the top arm and top leg, opening there away from my navel, my belly, and then curling them back in. So radiate out through the center, through my limbs, and then draw them back in. So we've got a pattern here of extending, expanding, and then condensing inwards. This is one of the kind of underlying movement patterns that we have in our bodies. And this is one of the patterns we have very early on, as far back as when we're in the womb. So we're going to think about coming up to kneeling. Yeah, just letting yourself know. We're going to think about coming up to a kneeling position. So I'm going to let go the coming out. I'm going to come back to rolling, and I'm going to find a way from my roll to see if I can push down into the floor with one hand and start to push myself up. And from there, I'm going to change my position to come into a kneeling position. So I'm on quite a soft surface here. So if, like me, that your wrists feel vulnerable, one thing you can do is I've got a bit of wood here. I'm going to actually put a little bit of wood under my wrists. If you can also fold up a little bit of a blanket or a mat and make a support that way. Or you could work on your fists, or you could also work on your forearms. So make it work for you. Look after your wrists. So I'm going to choose to work with this bit of driftwood actually. So from here, I've got my knees underneath my hips and my hands underneath my shoulders. Yeah, I'm just going to find a little bounce through my arms. I want my arms to be strong, firm under me. Sometimes we can sink. It looks like that. You might even have a go at sinking or collapsing. You can see I'm collapsing my shoulder blades towards each other. I'm collapsing in my waist. So can I push down and lift? So spreading between my shoulder blades. You could do that again if you just sink in your shoulder blades. It's like you slightly crunch towards each other even. And then push from the floor and push into the ground with your hands and widen and spread your shoulder blades. I feel that probably feels more supported, more stable. So let's circle around our points of contact with the ground. So our spine now, we've been working with the spine a little bit, and now without the floor under us, in a way there's more freedom of movement for our spine. So remember, if your wrists are not happy, you could be on a fists. You could even do this on your forearms, that works fine also. I'm going to change direction. And then I'm going to see if I can morph this into a number 8. So my bum and my hips draw the bottom of the figure of 8, and then I come round the corner at my waist, and my head and shoulders draw the top circle of the figure of 8. So I'm weaving around. So the purpose of this really is to invite the spine into a side bend. So one side of the body is long, and then the other side is long. I'm not coming too far forwards and back, so my shoulders are not coming a long way forwards with my wrists, my bum's not going a long way back beyond my knees, a little bit, but not much. So keeping it quite contained. So if you're able, see if you can change direction. And that can feel a bit odd sometimes. Okay, let's have a little rest. So the rest is either some variation of child's pose where you bring your toes together and you sit back on your heels, or it's on your front, or it's on your back. So pick whichever and just pause for a moment. And whichever shape you've chosen to be in, let your hands and your arms release their weight, let them be passive. So, for example, in child's pose, rather than active arms, let your arms rest. Let your elbows release their weight to the ground. And enter the flow of your breath. How our breathing is like a wave, flowing up the beach. And then retreating back into the body of the sea. Now the wave of the breath in slightly picks us up. And the wave of the breath out releases us down. So we're going to come back up to all fours. So find your way back up. And we'll try this. You might just want to have a little look before you do. I'm going to try this little movement. So starting again with my hands under my shoulders. And I'm going to bring my knee and my head towards each other. And then I'm going to reach my leg, reach back. The knee and head. I'm kind of curling in and then extending out. We'll see how that feels. I'm not lifting the leg high, just the toes could even stay on the ground when you reach the leg back. I'm aiming to keep my pelvis level. And then I'm going to see what it feels like to add a breath inquiry of breathing out as knee and head come in, and breathing in as I open out, condensing on the exhale and then opening on the inhale. Okay, I'm just going to pause. If you need to have a rest, have a little rest. If it feels okay, you go ahead and change to your second leg. The wave of the breath out curls you in. The wave of the breath in expands you out. And you might want to breathe out through your mouth. In through your nose is what I'm doing. Okay. And then letting that go. Tuck your toes under. We're going to find our way up to standing. So there's various ways you can do this. So find your own way. Or come with me. So I'm going to tuck my toes under. I'm going to push into the floor. Walk my feet forwards, my hands back and hang forwards. So just knowing we're coming up off the floor, up to the vertical. You're going to slowly uncurl yourself. And we'll have to slightly rearrange our. So from there, you might just need to rearrange your whatever you're using so that you can see me. I'm going to take my It doesn't matter if you haven't got a yoga mat, but I'm going to take my blanket off my yoga mats. So you'll be fine for this. You don't especially need one. You'll be fine if just what you've got is the floor. So let's see if you can see me well enough. Just have to slightly rearrange this as I go. Okay, there we go. So from there, let's bring our feet underneath our hips. So you can look down, bring your feet parallel. We're going to start with our awareness in our feet. I'm just going to start by picking up one foot and then the other. I'm going to go back so you can see me more. Yeah, so I'm just picking up, I'm just letting my weight shift from one side to the other. You might not even pick it up, it might be just go really light. And then I'm going to come up onto the toes. So I'm just up onto my toes. I'm going to make that a little bit more lively. So you might be a bit like a horse, prancing pony doing dressage. Onto one foot's down, onto the toes of the other one. You've got the energy in. You can add your hands in. Make it a bit more lively. Give it your breath. Or let your arms hang by your side, let your shoulders be loose. Okay. Okay, and letting that go. Bring your feet underneath your hips. Got my knees a little bit soft, and I'm a water bottle. So you're shaking or jiggling your water bottle. Your shoulders, your arms are relaxed, they can come up, your wrists will probably jiggle a little bit. Okay, I'm going to keep that sort of sense of bouncing going, and I'm going to come up and slide one hand towards the armpit. So this side is lengthening and this side is shortening, and then I'm going to go the other way. It's actually nice to look down at the little toe. So as I slide my right arm up, I'm looking down at my left little toe. As I slide my left arm up, I'm looking down at my right little toe. So we're getting this lateral side bend of the spine from side to side. Give it some breath. Okay, and then just letting that go. From there, I'm going to bring my hand onto a shoulder, and I'm going to, simple movement of circling my arm. So I'm letting my whole body come with the movement. My knees are bending, I'm standing on my feet, and I'm circling backwards. If that feels okay, I'm going to take it into a full arm. If you've got a challenge, an injury, a sensitivity, stay with your hand on the shoulder. I'm letting my elbow bend. Imagine your elbow or your upper arm is trying to brush your ear, and that will really get into the shoulder joint. I'm going to step, whichever arm I'm working with, I'm going to step the opposite foot forwards, and then I'm going to imagine that I'm throwing a ball up. Take it round behind me, and I'm throwing a ball up. A little bend of the legs. So you want to get a little bit of energy to throw that ball up into the sky. You can give it some breath and some sound if you want. Okay, I'm going to step back, let the arm hang. And just for a moment, close your eyes. And just notice how it feels different, this shoulder, how the arm hangs differently. It might feel more pulsing, vibration, tingling. Might hang differently, and I can see myself in my computer screen, and I can see how differently this arm now hangs from my body, completely differently to the other arm. It's really, really interesting. Okay, let's move to our second side. So hand to the shoulder. I'm going to circle it. I quite often will bring, I don't know if I did this on this side, but I quite often will bring a hand up to this top corner of my chest. Our lung tissue goes all the way up here. We don't often realise that our lungs are all the way up to our collarbones, but almost all the way to the base of our ribs. So as you do this, your whole lung is being moved inside your rib cage. If that is okay, you've got no challenge or sensitivity, take it into a full arm. So keeping my elbow, my wrist quite soft. Your upper arm, like your upper arm wants to not brush your ear off. Just noticing my breath there. And there's a little, as my arm comes down, a little impulse from my feet. Okay, I'm going to step the opposite leg forwards, and then I'm going to throw the ball up in the air. How high can you get it? How high are you going to get your feet, your legs behind it? This impulse to throw up. Okay, and then stepping back and just letting this arm hang by the side. Pause again. Going to come back down into our pelvis. So I'm just gonna set my feet underneath my hips. I'm actually working off my mat directly on the floor. Got my knees a little bit soft, my feet underneath my hips. And I'm going to circle my pelvis. I'm going to draw a circle. My feet are staying on the ground, but the weight will shift. And I'm circling. If it helps, you can have a hand there on your front, or even you could have a hand on your front and your back, and feel this circling. It's a little bit, well, it's like the clock circle we did on the ground to start with. Only here we do not have the reference point of the ground under us. I'm going to change direction. Okay, now I'm going to circle just around my right hip. And imagine I'm drawing a circle around my right hip and the right side of my pelvis. Of course, in a way, it's the same action that's happening, but I've got a bit more intention into this right hip. Change direction with the right hip. All right, so right hip and right side of the pelvis. Okay, and then I'm going to see if I can smoothly pass it over to my left hip and circle around my left hip. And you might find that one side feels easier, more natural. I noticed it was a bit less easy or natural on my left side. I'm going to reverse direction. Okay. And then I'm just going to let that go just for a moment. If you bring your fingers and find your belly button, and then you're going to measure 3 or 4 finger widths below your navel. So you're somewhere between your pubic bone and your belly button, probably about halfway. And you could close your eyes if you want, or just keep them soft. If closing your eyes makes you feel unstable, then obviously keep them open. But I'm going to imagine into a point It's between my pubic bone and my navel. So I'm just finding that point with my fingers. And halfway between the front and the back of my body. So this is our kind of a sense of locating our center, hara or dantian, sometimes called this deep navel center. So it's between the pubic bone and the navel, about halfway, and halfway front and back, so deep in the body. So just as best you can, just to get a sense of that. And we're going to come back to a movement of our pelvis, and this time we're going to do a figure of 8, around one hip, around the other hip. Yeah? So you're drawing this figure of 8, and imagine that the two circles, the two sections of the figure of 8 cross over at this deep navel center. You're kind of circling or even slightly spiraling around the navel center, the hara. What you'll notice is your shoulders are joining the movements. But keep your focus very much in your abdomen, your guts, your belly center. See if you can change direction. If you can't, then just stay. If that just really throws you, stay with the direction you had. Let the movement just get a little bit bigger. So I'm just allowing it to come up into my shoulders, into my arms. It doesn't have to look like what mine looks like. Might look quite different. So you've got some sense of this figure of 8 going through your feet, your belly, your chest and your shoulders, your arms. You might want to close your eyes, feel it on the inside. Notice your breath. I'm going to let go the movement of my arms. Keep the movement going through the pelvis. And let's see if we can let this figure of 8 come slowly, get gradually smaller. So it's around this central point, deep in the belly center. Knees are soft, feet are planted. And then just bringing it right back home, right into my center. Until maybe you can feel the movement still, but to an external eye, it will be imperceptible or almost imperceptible. Tiny figure of 8 around your navel center. It dissolves, as it were, back into stillness. And you find yourself there, standing on your feet, belly, pelvis, over your legs, over your feet. Pausing there. Might bring a hand onto your belly. Feel the breath, the movement of your belly as you breathe in and out. The wave of the breath in, and the wave of the breath out. Rising up the beach and then falling back into the body of the sea, the ocean. So what we're going to do is we're going to come to rest, to lie down for the last little while. So you set yourself up on the floor, on the ground. Once again. One. We're going to carry on just working a little bit with our breath and this image of the waves and the ocean. So for me, this works most effectively if I have my legs out. So if that isn't comfortable on your back without anything, then having something under your legs works really well. Of course, make sure that you're going to be warm. So this is, and whatever you put under your head, you want to have it so that your weight rests on the center of the back of the head. So you might not need anything under your head. Some people will. Other people are fine without. So once you've set yourself up, bring your awareness back to the breath, to a sense of the breath in your belly. And this kind of, it's both a felt sense and also our imagination has its place of the breath as a wave that rises and falls. And imagine that the wave emanates from your belly. And the next time you breathe in, cast the inhalation, the breath in, flow from your belly to your hips. And as you breathe out, the wave of the breath out comes back to your belly. And then just with your own breath rhythm, following that, casting the wave of the breath in, out from your belly to your hips. And then it retracts, comes back to the belly on the exhale. And then, next inhalation, cast the breath out into your thighs, down to your knees. It flows from your belly, hips, thighs, knees. And then back to your belly. Your awareness rides on the breath. And then let's go all the way down to our feet. So we cast the wave of the breath in all the way out to our feet. Breathing back to the belly. We're keeping it really light and gentle. No strain in the breathing. Then the next time you return to the belly, just pause there a moment. And the next time we breathe in, we're going to cast our breath up towards the solar plexus and back to the belly a few times. And then we're going to cast it up towards the heart, the center of our chest, back to the belly. And as it comes up towards the heart, next time it's going to separate into two parts and flow to our shoulders, to each shoulder, and back to the belly. And then let's take it all the way down our arms to our hands. Connecting our hands to our belly, our arms to our belly. And then next time you get back to the belly, just rest there a few breaths in your navel center. So, according to some perspectives, we have not 4 limbs but 6 limbs. So another limb is our tail. So the next time we breathe in, we're going to cast the wave of the breath in to the tail, down your sacrum to your tailbone, back to your belly. Once, of course, our tail was an active limb. We sometimes can kind of feel the vestiges of that even today. And then next time we come to the belly, we're going to go up to the head. So this is our 6th limb. So we flow the inhalation, the wave of the inhalation is going to flow up through, along the spine, all the way to the top of the head. And then back down through the central channel, through the center line to your belly. We're keeping it really light, really gentle. And then next time you get to the belly, maybe just a sense of all 6 limbs, both legs, both arms, your head and your tail, and a radiation from your core to your periphery, and then a drawing back in from your periphery to your core. You could imagine you like a single cell creature that radiates out like an amoeba, just expands in all directions and then condenses. Or a starfish. So letting that, just let all that go now. Let it go and let's just rest. Let your body rest. Your whole body should just be there and rest. So you can stay and rest as long as you want to, and when you need to come out of it, when you're ready to come out, it's small movements at the peripheries, fingers and ankles, the toes, maybe small movement of the head like we began with. Let the peripheries then move and gradually speak to the centre of your body, to your core, to bring you out in your own time. So we're going to end the practice there.